Hi everyone and welcome to Healthy Week. My name's Charlotte and I'm going to be taking you through a really gentle Pilates class today. So this style is really good if you feel like you are sort of going through the motions with your current practice a little bit and you want to really connect with your body again, or if you maybe haven't tried Pilates before and you want to build a solid foundation for building your practice upon. All you need is a towel or a mat and a block, and if you don't have a block, feel free to use a book or a cushion. If you have any questions, just feel free to send me an email and I will get back to you. So as I touched on in the introduction, we want to start the class by laying the groundwork, by setting ourselves up correctly to build these movements on. So we're going to bring our feet together, pivot from the heel of the foot out to 45 degrees, and then pivot on the ball of the foot to bring your heels in line with the midline of your foot. And this is our stable base in which we need to stand on. So just imagine you have a tripod on the balls of your feet, connecting you to the floor. So from your heel to the inside of the ball of your foot to the outside of the ball of your foot. This is your stable base. And it might be that you instantly feel like maybe you're collapsing inwards or collapsing outwards on this tripod. We want your weight to be evenly distributed between these 3 points. Gently pressing your toes into the floor, keeping a lift in the arch. We're going to draw it up to our knees. And as with the feet, if you feel like maybe you are collapsing inwards on the inside of your foot, your knees might collapse inwards too. So taking it back, we're going to push our feet into the floor, connecting ourselves from the floor upwards, bringing our knee in line with the middle of the foot, and relax. And again, just try this torque technique, so it's generating force away from the floor, driving your feet inwards into the floor and pushing them away, bringing your knees in line with your foot, so it might open up your hips. You might feel your bum switching on a little bit. Standing up nice and tall, we're going to take it up to the hips. So from here you might want to place your middle and index finger on your hip bones and your thumb on the back of that hip bone too. And we want to just isolate this movement of loosening up your lumbar spine now. So it helps some people to envision a bowl of water as their pelvis. And to begin with, your water is nice and level. And we just want to work with pouring the water out the front of our pelvis and then rocking backwards, pouring it out the back. So bringing your belly button towards the floor, pouring the water gently out the front of this bowl, and then pouring it backwards. Belly button comes towards the spine. And as you do this, just try and keep your knees soft, shoulders relaxed. And just try and observe this movement and listen to your body. Is it a little bit tighter on the way back? Maybe on the front? This is a great one to do if you're sat at your desk all day. You can do it seated, you can do it in bed, you can do it standing. Okay. And now I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about dynamic movement. So we're focusing on working with dynamic strength and stability and functional movement, which translates into everyday life. It helps us understand our body's capabilities and its sensibilities and how to use our deep stabilizing muscles to help protect us from injury. And ultimately, it helps us get stronger from the inside out. And a really important aspect of dynamic strength is this ability to tap into coordinated recruitment of our deep abdominals, our diaphragm, and our pelvic floor. So from here we want to work on initiating this internal strength. So try and imagine you are drawing up from back passage to front as if you're trying to stop yourself from going for a wee. You're just gently drawing up. From here, imagine you're doing up a zip in the front of your jeans, and it's just tucking your tailbone under gently, and you feel that contraction in your lower abdominals. Even further so, we're going to connect our diaphragm. So taking a big breath in. As you take a full breath in, you'll feel that contraction. Now I want you to take a deep breath out, but maintain this contraction. So breathing out. We're drawing up. We've got our jeans done up nice and tight. And we've got this contraction. Now this is what's going to help prevent injury that I was talking about before. And if I ever talk about centering, it's this. It is this safety mechanism within our intra-abdominal balloon that we can work with our breath, with our exercises. And it helps us stay safe in this dynamic movement. Okay, so we're going to take it up all the way to the breastbone now, keeping it nice and soft. Opening up through the collarbones, take it as wide as you can. Might mean sliding your shoulder blades together and down in their back pockets. Just keep breathing here. Going to take it up to the chin, slight tuck in the chin, lengthening up through the back of the top of the head. So feel that connection from your feet all the way up your body. Track it up your knee, up to your hips, breastbone, collarbones, lengthening up through the back of the neck. As light as you can, all the way up to the ceiling. And then fingertips reaching towards the floor, creating that space between your ear and your shoulders. And just take a few breaths here. So let's begin by just starting with a little bit of neck release. So taking your left ear, bringing it down to your left shoulder, maintaining those open collarbones, shoulder blades gently squeezing together and drawing them down. Feel that stretch all the way through this side of your neck. Lengthening through your fingertips and take it over to the other side. And just slowly keep it moving. And on your next repetition, you're just going to roll it round to the front and over to the other side. And again, round to the front. And just try and feel all of this movement. We're not in a rush to take it anywhere. You'll feel if you're maybe perhaps a little bit tight in one side more than the other. So maybe just take a few breaths in one position if it feels particularly tight. Okay, and shoulder rolls. And as I said before, feel the whole of the movement. For some people it really helps to imagine the shape that they're trying to create. So we're trying to work with a nice fluid circle here. And just keep your breath natural, taking it forwards. And try and keep your ribcage locked down for this as well, so we're not overextending our ribcage. We're just isolating the movement in our shoulders. Good. And from here, tracking through your body from the floor up to the top of the ceiling. We're going to tuck our tailbone under slightly, centering ourselves, and just rock forwards into the front of this tripod. Moving only from your ankles, and then take it back. So to begin with, it's just a really tiny movement. We're just working on switching on the front of our body and the back of our body, creating balance. And working on our balance too. And we're trying to avoid our back arching here, so we want to stand nice and tall. Try not to fall through your hips, drop your head, dropping your chin. If you're confident to take that further, peel the heels away from the floor, evenly pushing through the balls of your feet. Coming up to standing, don't lose your core connection, and then slowly descend back to the floor. So really lengthening up through the top of the head for this whole movement. Feeling connected to the floor throughout. And we're going to work on lifting our arms to shoulder height here. So mobilizing the shoulders. Just stick with your sways. If coming up onto your tiptoes is too difficult, so lifting up. Feel the weight coming from your shoulder. Your fingers are really light. This movement is initiated from bringing your shoulder blades down, sliding them into their back pockets, feeling the distance between your ears and your shoulders. We're going to work on some ankle stability and then incorporate our arm floats with that to work a little bit more with some coordination. So lifting our heel, peeling it away from the floor, keeping the front of your tripod nice and even, gently pressing it down to lift the opposite side. So it helps some people to pop their fingers on their hips here to maintain this neutral pelvis. If you want to work on your balance a little bit more, bring that other heel up as the opposite one comes down. And as you're at the top of this range, you really want to feel your bum kind of working to stabilize you, helping center you. And we'll bring our opposite arm up. If you feel like you can bring your arm higher than shoulder height without your shoulder hiking up, then feel free to go for that option. And we're just going to do a few more repetitions here. Bringing our feet together. So we're going to take our left foot forwards and we want our left heel in line with our right toe, as if we're walking on a tightrope. Try and keep your hips facing forwards. Again, you can pop your hands on your hips if that helps to stabilize you a little bit. And we're just going to work with that swaying motion that we worked with before. So rocking forwards, keeping our feet planted, and back. You'll feel your bum really helping you here to stabilise you, keeping your back knee soft. And as you rock forward, that weight gently shifts over the front of your centre. And if this feels maybe like it's challenging your balance a little bit too much, you can always take your feet wider apart. And we're just going to lift up our back heel as we rock forwards now. Bringing our weight even further forward, so challenging our balance, bringing that centering into this front leg. And back. Front toes lift up. So as you come back, weight comes onto that back foot, toes lift, and we rock it forwards, dropping the front toe, lifting the back heel, lifting the left heel. Standing nice and tall, feel the balance and sway back. We'll switch over to the other side. And just start as gently as you can. So rather than testing yourself and completely losing this centering, losing your pelvic stability, just work within your range and then you will improve. Now bringing your feet in line, we're going to take it a little bit wider than we did at the start of the class, so working a little bit wider than hip distance. Just take a second to set yourself up again, so feel that tension against the ground. Feel your stable tripod. Are your knees soft? Is your chest open? Are your shoulder blades down and in their pockets? We're going to work towards a functional lifting movement. So starting with a hip hinge, we want to keep our neutral spine here, so really work on this centered space, taking a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, gently send your hips backwards, keeping your back straight, chest open. You can have a slight bend in the knee if you need to. And then breathe out, push away from the floor, coming back up to centre. And we'll do it one more time. So sending your hips back, keeping your chest open. As you come to the end range of this movement, you'll feel your bum switching on. That's your glutes helping stabilise this movement of you being able to push the floor away. And one more. And from here, we're going to hinge backwards. Taking that bend in the knee, sliding our fingers down our legs, making sure our knees stay in line with our toes. And then push the floor away. As soon as you feel your glutes kick in, driving up, maintaining brace neutral core. And taking it back again. And at the bottom of this movement here, we're going to lift up one heel, pushing the ball of our foot into the floor, keeping our pelvis neutral, so hips level, and lifting up the opposite foot. And taking it down, bringing it up. And taking it down again. Lifting up that heel, keeping our weight evenly distributed and lifting up the opposite heel. And drive up. So take this as slow as you need to. You can always revert back to the first option. I'm going to do one more here. So taking one big step backwards, pushing through the ball of your foot, bending in the front knee into 90 degrees and bending in the back knee to 90 degrees. We're just going to slowly lower ourselves down here. Feel your glute switching on before you drop down and pop your knee gently on the floor. So this is where if you need a cushion or a towel, just grab one and pop it under your knee. We're going to work on just stretching out our hip flexors here. So to begin, we're going to work with that pelvic tilt. So tucking your tailbone under, you'll feel that length coming all the way through your quads here, all the way up through your thigh. And from that tuck, that is where we get our deep stretch. So we're going to take our opposite arm, lift it up overhead, really reaching through your fingertips. And this hand here is just supporting you in that rotation, opening up. And just breathe. And we're just going to switch on to the other side now. So remember to tuck under your tailbone. Really feel the stretch deep within your hip flexor here. And this is a great stretch to do if you find that you're sat at a desk all the time. A lot of us tend to have really weak hip flexors, really tight hip flexors, and our bums just go to sleep all the time. So that's kind of what a lot of this class is working on, strengthening our glutes, strengthening our hip flexors, releasing them. So from this kneeling stretch that we've just done, we're coming into full kneeling stance. So I want you to position your knees directly under your hips. Take a glance back to see if your feet are in line with your knees. Now we're going to track it up from the knees up to the hips. Taking a breath in here, and as you breathe out, we'll find our centering again, gently drawing in our pelvic floor, activating our deep abdominals and working with our diaphragm to contract. Start off with a few pelvic tilts here. So gently tuck the tailbone under, pour the water out the back and taking it forwards. And this is probably going to be definitely challenging your balance a little bit more than just standing. And you might find as well that this is a little bit more stiff. And that's okay. It just means that you've got something that you have to work on for your next session. And find yourself in neutral position, bringing it up to the breastbone, keeping it soft, opening up those collarbones, sliding your shoulder blades down into their pockets. Relax your arms down by your sides, lengthening up through the top of the head. Taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, reach your left hand towards the floor, sliding it slowly down your leg. Feel that space between your hip and your rib opening up. And breathe in to return. Maintain that contraction. And again. Big breath in and out. Reach over to the opposite side, lengthening through the fingertips. Just mobilizing the spine laterally here, so we don't want our head to be dropping to the side. And just find your rhythm. Work with your breath. You'll feel that this is quite a nice stretch. And then also, if you're effectively contracting, finding your centering, it'll be working your deep stabilizing muscles as well. And we're going to pop our hands behind our head, keeping our chest open, shoulders down, eyes ahead, nice and soft, and just dropping that hip in towards our rib cage, bringing it back to center, over to the other side. And as you're doing this, we really don't want our rib cage to be flaring out. I want to keep our spine neutral, keeping everything stacked, so we're effectively utilizing these muscles in the front and the back of our body to help maintain this balance. Good, and we'll just do a few shoulder rolls there. So we're going to drop our hips back towards our heels, controlling that movement, and safely coming back down onto the floor and switching our legs around to the front. So in our seated position, we want our feet flat to the floor, heels pressing into the ground. And for some people, this might be really comfortable. For others, maybe your hips are a little bit tight. I know mine are, so I always have to come up onto at least one block. But I think today, a book and a block are required. So ideally what we're looking for here is to be able to sit up tall without it really hurting our lower back, without it feeling too tight in our hips. Perhaps that's lengthening out your feet, that will be more comfortable for you, taking your feet wider. It's just about finding a place where you can effectively work these exercises. So take a moment to just find that comfortable space for you. And I just want you to imagine your two sit bones, so these two bony prominences coming out of your glutes here. You're sitting up nice and tall on those, lengthening up through the top of your head, a slight tuck in your chin, collarbones open, shoulders down. Now you can either hold under your thighs for this, or you can have your arms out straight ahead of you. I'm just going to hold my thighs to begin with. And what we want to do is gently tuck our tailbone under, so going back to that pelvic tilt, we're rocking our sacrum. So we're going to start with tucking the tailbone under. It's such a small micro movement. And from here, we're going to bring our navel in towards our spine, so we're working that lower back. Send the chest backwards, eyes coming through to your navel, and we're just rolling back on our sit bones. Should feel the abdominals kicking in. Try not to round your shoulders too much here as well, keeping your chest open. Take a breath in, and as you lift, coming back to center. And we'll try that one more time. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, gently tuck that tailbone under. send the navel in towards your lumbar spine. Curve through that movement. Try and work through each vertebra one by one. And back up. And from here we're just going to come and bring our hands into prayer position. So we're keeping our finger in line with our nose. And we're just going to open up from side to side. And the reason that we work with our finger in line with our nose is that if it wasn't there, normally we'd just cheat and turn our head and we wouldn't be getting the full stretch that we need. So just rocking from side to side. Big breath in. Breathe out, twist round. And in to return. Out to twist. Lengthening through the top of your head, eyes soft, jaw soft. And we're going to rock down. And twist. And rock down. Last one. So tuck your tailbone under, rock on your sacrum. Bring your navel in towards your spine. Slowly taking it down, eyes through to your navel and bringing it back up. And as we twist, remember to keep your hips forward. We're really trying to just get that mobilization in the middle and upper fibers of your back. Okay, and from here we're going to take any blocks out that you might have put under any books. And as much as you can, take it to a full roll down here. So big breath in, breathe out, tilt that tailbone under, keep the chest open and just slowly work through each bone in your back. So you're still maintaining tailbone tucked under. Use your hands on your thighs if you need to. You can bring your arms ahead as well. Slowly bring it down. Bring it down. If you can, hold it here for a second. And if you're able to hold it, maybe you're able to send your legs out to the front. And then slowly, slowly take it down. Control that move. Try not to let your shoulders round as you're coming down here. Slow. Keep breathing through it. Good. And relax there for a second. Reaching through your fingertips all through your feet. And we're going to set up in supine position now. With our next breath in, drawing up from our pelvic floor, Track it through the spine, all the way up each vertebra. And when you reach your neck, you're going to gently tuck your chin and press the back of your head into the mat, lengthening up through the top of the head. And release that. Tucking under, lengthening through the top of the head, sliding those shoulders down. Feel that space in the back of your neck. And our aim here is just to really lengthen internally, feeling the space, initiating the movement from inside out, overriding those superficial muscles that get really tight when we use them all day, every day, and just switching on the deep stabilizing muscles. If you feel like you need a little bit more time to work with the small movements within this exercise, then feel free to keep practicing that. And if you feel like you're really connecting with that movement, breathe in, tucking the chin, lengthening through the back of the neck. Breathe out, gently lift the head. We're envisioning a soft sponge held between our chin and our chest. So we're not really pushing it towards our chest, we're just keeping it gentle, keeping it nice and soft within our collarbones. And now take your eyes towards your navel. Glide your shoulders down, opening up the chest, slide them towards your heels and lift your chest, sending it forwards. Now make sure you keep breathing through this movement and take it slowly down. Breathe in, breathe out. Lengthen your fingertips, lifting up. And as you're up here, if you can reach a little bit further. And naturally, when our stability is challenged, when we're straining to work through a movement, we often forget about our breathing, forget to connect with our pelvic floor, with this dynamic strength that we're working towards. So take a second here to reconnect with your breathing, reconnect internally, and controlling the descent just as much as you controlled the ascent. We're going to come back into supine position and start with some bridge work. So working on strengthening our hamstrings, strengthening our glutes, this whole posterior chain that often becomes really weak and really lazy from inactivity, from lack of stimulation. Take a few pelvic tilts if you need to now. We're going to slowly come up into a shoulder bridge. Now if you've got a cushion or a block behind your head, we just want to take that away now, as that just adds any pressure that you might be putting on your neck. So we're going to work with this pelvic tilt initially. So taking a breath in, we're going to pull our tailbone up between our legs, belly button to navel. Feel that in breath coming all the way up from your pelvic floor out through the top of your head. And exhale, release. And inhale, gently pushing your heels into the floor, keep this tuck. Pull your tailbone through your legs. Try and push evenly through the tripod on your feet. Keep pulling up bone by bone. Really push into the floor, push up through your hips. You'll feel your glutes working. We want full extension in your hips if we can. Keeping your shoulders down and away from your ears. And then we're just going to slowly roll back down, keeping your tailbone tucked under until the last moment. Pop down each vertebra one by one as you come down. And lastly, unfurling your sacrum. Pelvic tilt here and rolling up nice and slow, bringing the navel towards the spine, pushing in evenly into the floor. Keeping the chest open, relaxing your shoulders, and at the top here, if you're in a position to do so, I want you to just peel away your right heel and then onto your left. So notice how my hips, they're staying completely level throughout this movement. I'm not dropping down. If you find that you lose that stability, then just take it back down to a regular bridge and back down. If you feel like maybe your hamstrings are working a little bit too hard, excuse me, you can pull your heels a little bit closer towards your bum. So rolling up, bone by bone, breastbone stays nice and soft, and taking it up, peeling away the heel. You'll really feel your weight shifting into this opposing leg here. Taking it down, switching over onto the other side. Really push into the floor and slowly, slowly roll it back down, bone by bone. And lastly, untucking the tailbone. Bring it up for one more. See if you can hold it at this end range and gently try and lift up your hips a little bit higher, keeping your breastbone soft, trying not to let your ribcage flare out as you come up. Really pushing through your feet. You'll be feeling it in your glutes now with your breath. Just gently lifting up a little bit higher each time. One more repetition. And slowly, slowly take it down. And from here, we're just going to slide out our left leg away from our body. Hugging in on that knee. And then just take it over to the side to give our glute a little rest. Hand coming over to the other side, eyes following the fingertips, and just breathe into it. Really feel the length that you're creating. Feel the space in the back of your rib cage. And come back to centre. And we're going to switch over legs here. And as you take a big breath in and breathe out, just relaxing your shoulders down, keeping your chest open. Eyes soft, jaw soft. And back to centre. And now we're just going to set ourselves up into prone position. So positioning ourselves comfortably with our forehead gently resting either on the floor, a towel, a block. Taking a breath in, and as you breathe out, relaxing your shoulders down. Your head staying in line with your spine. Now just track that all the way down your vertebra, down each leg, through the knee, through to the heel. Toes slightly turned in. And we're going to just work with a couple of pelvic tilts here. So tucking the tailbone under, you'll feel your pubic bone drawing in towards the floor. Feel that weight distribution between each of your hip bones. Is one side pushing towards the floor more than the other? Balance each side of your body here. So bringing our feet together, making sure the heels are connected, so you feel the activation on the inside of your thighs. Our arms are coming into a soft W. I'm just going to take a breath in, and as we breathe out, lengthen our shoulder blades down into our back pockets. And another breath here. And as you breathe out, tuck that tailbone under. Feel your pubic bone gently imprinting into the floor. And lift. So our head's just coming along for the ride. I'm not pushing into the floor here. I'm just finding my back muscles. Really small movement. And slowly taking it down on the inhale. And relax. Make sure your glutes switch off. And we're going to repeat that again. So taking a big breath in, shoulder blades coming down, tailbone tucked under, pubic bone gently pressing into the mat. And with our exhale, we lift. Slight tuck in the chin, initiating that movement from a thoracic spine. See if you can hold it here for a breath. And slowly lower yourself back down on your inhale. And release. And once more, heels are coming together. Really feel that activation on your inner thighs. Shoulder blades coming down. Chest maintains open, pubic bone into the floor. Lifting up, finding the muscles in your back. And just work with a range that is comfortable for you. And we're going to take it down nice and slow. Keeping those heels together. And down. And one last time. So we're trying to not lift with our neck. With this slight tuck in our chin, that movement is purely coming from our lower back. By activating our glutes, squeezing our heels together, this is keeping our back safe and stable. So rather than it being a really isolated movement, we're really using all of this whole posterior chain of our body and taking it down. Now on this next one, if you can take it up a little bit higher, gently pressing into the floor with your hands. We still want our pubic bone into the floor. So if you feel like you're just pushing the floor away and lifting your hips up and off, that's more of a pose that we'd see in yoga. We don't want full extension of the spine here. We want that core control still. And release. Okay, tucking our toes under, bringing your hands to shoulder height. Just going to push through the balls of our feet, push through our knees and push through our hands. Sending our hips back to our heels. Coming into child's pose. Now if you can bring your knees apart, sending your chest to the ground. And we're just lengthening through our fingertips, getting that stretch all in our lats. Okay, and tucking the tailbone under. We're going to bring our knees in line with our hips, toes tracking the knees and hands directly stacked under our shoulders here. So I want you to keep your elbows soft. Try and drive the floor away like we did with our feet at the beginning of the class. So you feel like you're holding an orange underneath your armpit. You'll feel this muscle working right here. And from here, we're just going to work with a couple of pelvic tilts. Again, just finding our neutral spine in this position. So tucking our tailbone under and releasing. And then we're going to tuck it under, lifting up through the lower back, through the mid, navel coming towards the spine, slight tuck in the chin, dropping the eyes between the hands. One thing we're trying to avoid here is mindlessly pulling up and pushing down through our spine. We want to work on active awareness. And the purpose of this exercise is to really nourish the discs in between our vertebrae. Gently pushing into the floor, eyes coming in between the hands, tucking that tailbone under and unfurl the tailbone. Open up the rib cage. Eyes come ahead. And we'll do that one more time. Just mobilizing the spine here. And try and track each vertebra as you're moving throughout this range. Okay. And from here, we're going to just slowly release our left hand away from the floor. So I want you to shift your weight into your right hand. So pushing through the ball of your hand, through the heel of your hand. Gently peel your left hand away from the floor. So you're not collapsing into this shoulder. It stays nice and strong, elbow soft. So you're peeling that hand away. Challenging your balance here. Shift your weight. Making sure your pelvis stays neutral. Push the floor away. And you'll feel the weight changing as you switch from hand to hand in your knee. And this is just connecting all of the muscles within your deep abdominals, working with that dynamic strength that we were talking about before. And as you're doing this, just try and maintain some natural breath. And on your next lift, we're going to take a forearm forwards, slowly dropping down. Other arm comes to join it. We're going to bring our feet together, our knees together. Weight shifts forward, shoulders stacked over your elbows, tucking our tailbone under. Squeezing the inner thighs together. And we're just going to hold it here in our plank position. So again, making sure you're not collapsing into those shoulders. Think about holding those oranges underneath your armpits. And if you feel like you can take this a little bit further, tuck the toes under, push through the balls of your feet. Feel this connection from the tip of your fingers all the way down to the balls of your feet. I don't see any hips sagging or coming up higher. Just keep that tailbone tucked under. Keep the thighs activated and keep everything nice and strong. And drop the knees down. Relax the feet. We're going to push up back into our quadruped position. Opening up the knees, relaxing the toes back into child's pose. Taking a breath. Really lengthening through the fingertips. And curling up through your tailbone. Back into our all fours. And this time we're going to shift our weight between our knees. So lifting up one knee just a millimetre off the floor. And then switching over to the other side. So you'll feel the weight shifting between your hands now as well. If you want to make that a little bit more difficult, tucking the toes under. Now we're going to lift up that knee just a millimetre, slowly float the toe back and bringing it back to centre. And without hiking your hips, without hitching up, you're going to switch over to the other side, sending it away. And breathe out as you bring it back in. And the slower you do this, the harder you're making it for yourself. The more you incorporate the breath, the more you engage your pelvic floor, this is what's going to help keep you safe and stable throughout your everyday life. Now we're going to walk the hands forwards again, coming onto our forearms. Knees together, feet together. Tucking under the toes, weight shifts forward over your elbows. Remember to tuck under the tailbone. In this challenging position, as we breathe in, try and reconnect with your breath, reconnect with your connection, your centering. Try and bring your awareness to everything other than the challenge. So drawing in your pelvic floor, finding that deep abdominal contraction and working with your diaphragm, trying to continue with this normal breathing. And try and aim for 5 breaths here and take it down nice and controlled when you're ready. Down. Push yourself back up. Open up. And lengthen out. And from this position, we're going to just shift our weight forwards into our hands, tucking under the toes, pushing our weight backwards through our hands, pushing into the balls of the feet, rocking onto our feet, gently pushing the floor away from us, feeling that tripod in your feet. Slight bend in the knees here, you'll feel a stretch in your hamstrings. And just let your hands dangle for a second. Head relaxed, shoulders relaxed. Take a breath. Now tucking under the tailbone, engaging your deep abdominals. Roll up through your spine, bone by bone. Trying not to collapse into your hips. And opening up the shoulders. From here we're just going to do a few shoulder rolls. Keeping the knees nice and soft. And just increase that range a little bit more from when you started the class. Take it forwards. And we're going to take a big breath in, arms coming up overhead. And out. Rolling the neck from side to side, feeling the length. Back to center, arms coming in, overhead, breathe in. And out. Rolling again. Back to center, one more.